a drone can do the job that we do, but they can't tell you what it's like from a human perspective. That's the thing. They can tell you, like, hey, listen, I'm a tough SOB, and here's how it was, you know. But and then the third mission set, which is the best, is direct action, like capture kill missions or clearing houses, and that's the best. When you're like running and gunning with your boys, you know, you're putting like match grade 5.56 in the people's like headlights. That's the good stuff right there.
Welcome to the Military Bottom Line Podcast, where we learn from veterans and those currently serving how to make the most out of a military contract. We're here to motivate, inspire, and help you leverage your service to positively impact you professionally, personally, and financially during your military career and beyond. Welcome to episode 43 of the Military Bottom Line Podcast. Super grateful for you guys tuning in today. I have a special guest 10 years later. I went to boot camp with Asa Dalphone 10 years ago now. Crazy. Like literally 10 years ago right now, I was in boot camp. So time flies. And I haven't really spoken with Asa since, just a couple of interactions here and there online. But it's been cool to hear about his career so far, and man, he is a talker. So I worked to kind of keep him in line to get the best picture of his career as possible. And he's been a Recon Reserve Marine for the past 4 or 5 years now, and has done some pretty awesome stuff. This guy, I don't know if I've ever seen somebody so fired up on their career. It's pretty wild. So he's stoked on what he's doing. And I honestly didn't even know that Recon Reserves was an opportunity that existed. So if that's something that you're interested in, this might be, this will likely be very entertaining for you. So stay tuned for the episode. I really hope you enjoy and hear about what it's like to live that reserve recon life. In addition to that, before we get to the show, I just want to ask, if you have not already left a review on Apple Podcasts, I'd really appreciate it. Leave 5 stars, and if you don't have 5 stars to leave me, then send me a direct message on Instagram and tell me how I can improve to get that 5 stars from you. So I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you guys enjoy this episode, and I will see you guys at the end.
Oh, he said start recording. Hey,
that's good. I always clip it down and stuff afterwards, so I'll cut out the part where you throw it in your dip.
No, I mean, we need that part, man. Everybody throws in a dip in the military.
Oh man, awesome, dude. Thanks, Asa, for joining me today. I know it's been like 10 years now since we went to boot camp together. Yeah. And it's crazy to connect 10 years later. So
for sure,
I'm excited to kind of hear how your career has gone. But for the listeners, definitely want to hear about like a little bit of backstory and how you found yourself joining the Marine Corps in the first place.
Oh, definitely, man. I can tell you. I mean, so 3 weeks into my senior year of college, got 86 hours. I was a pre-law major. I had a 3.15 GPA, vice president of my pre-law fraternity. I was an SGA real hard. I was chairman of the freshman committee. I was chief justice of the judicial branch for a while. I was a senator on the academic committee. This cat, get out of cat. I was a student ambassador for the school, so I gave tours, the open houses for campuses and stuff like that. I did all that. And on the outside, everything looked great. I'll tell you, Bert. But on the inside, I hated my life. I was like, man, I just hate this. I'm bored. I was living with my girlfriend at the time, and I hated her. It was like I just needed a roommate, and she was a shitty roommate. And I have an identical twin brother. And at this time, I have 86 hours. My brother, his name is Richmond. Richmond's got like 6 hours of college, but he turned himself into a PT god. And he calls me up one day. He goes, hey, there's a reserve recon unit in Mobile, Alabama. He goes, we can go through the shit together in the buddy program, come back recon Marines, and then you can go back to college if you want. How does that sound? I go, dude, that sounds awesome. Because my dad's an old jarhead. He was from 71 to 75, he was a hydraulic mechanic. He worked on A4s or A6s or something like that. And he was meaner than a junkyard dog. And he always told us, he's like, you never make it. You can't be a Marine. You never make it. So, of course, like, yes, I can do that. And so I was like, man, I didn't know anything about the military. I didn't know nothing about anything. I thought, you do some training and you're a Marine. That's it. Well, my brother ends up not being able to join the Marine Corps because he told them. Only reason is because he told him that he dislocated his shoulder a couple of times, which he did. But the first time he did it, he won like his 6th Golden Gloves state title. Like I have 8 state Golden Gloves still. My brother's got 8 too. I boxed in the amateurs for a long time.
Wow.
And oh yeah. I have 4 professional fights, 0 losses, 1 knockout. Anyways, so my brother and I are not being able to join. Sidebar, my brother's he's been a SWIC. You know what a SWIC is? It's a special warfare combatant. He's been doing that for like 9 years. And the Marine Corps said, no, you're not going to be able to handle the training that the Marine Corps is going to. My brother ends up graduating 17 guys, so it's like, hey, he could have handled the training. You guys just didn't want to do the paperwork. But anyways,
yeah, that's right.
He did 4 deployments. He went to Yemen, and I think it was real kinetic. But anyways, so I'm like, well, man, I already did all this stuff. I dropped out of college and I dipped in, like I might as well keep going. And man, we were at Parris Island for like 30 seconds. And I was like, I immediately regret this. Like I screwed up so bad. I still remember like that first night where like they threw me in some fireworks. So I just had to like put my little moonbeam like out the window. And I had like tears in my eyes. I'm 22 years old, man. I had tears in my eyes. I was like, what the hell did I just do? Yeah. So that's how I joined. I know what our final inspection. Remember the final inspection with the what do they call it? The battalion commander inspection. Battalion commander Brigadier General Padilla. I don't know if you remember this.
Dude, you're remembering this way better than I am. Holy smokes!
Oh, I remember because of the story. Hey, Brigadier General Padilla. He does my inspection, and Sergeant Jones said, "Hey, you can tell the general whatever you want as long as you keep bearing." So I'm kind of hearing the questions he's asking guys. And I'm like, I'm going to make up a crazy story. I'm going to be stone cold granite face, kind of bearing on it. So I told Brigadier General Padilla that Chesty Puller came to me in a dream and told me to drop out of college, join the United States Marine Corps, and I did the next day. And he turned away and laughed. I saw him like chuckle. I seemed to, and he comes back to me. This is a general. He goes, I've never heard that before. And even Sergeant Jones, he had a clipboard, doing like the peckle or whatever. Yeah. And he like puts it up in front of his own face because he's laughing too. And the guys are like, why'd you say that? I was like, why didn't you say stuff like I said? He's like, you just say whatever you want. Just have some bearing on your face,
That's so funny.
But really I joined because I don't know, man. I was just, every story about joining the Marine Corps is like, ends like, and I said, fuck it. So I joined the Marine Corps,
So was there anything specific that you were trying to get out of it then, or you just wanted out of college?
I just wanted to escape from like what was going on in my life, like immediately. Like I didn't care what happened. I just wanted to stop. I mean, I've thought about it a bunch of times, and like, oh, I wanted to be a Marine. Well, that was kind of an afterthought, because like now I love being a Marine. I think it's the best thing there is in the world. I don't care if you're for 4 years or 40 years. You see an old jarhead, even those old, they got like a Marpat 8-point cover or something like that. It's got a ball of fire on it. I don't care. I love that guy. I go right up to the guy and I shake his hand. I say, hey, what's up, jarhead? And they love that shit. Just because it's a cult that works. Yeah. I chugged the Kool-Aid on it. I love it. I love it. I almost joined the Coast Guard a few years ago, and I was like, I got a good gig going on, and Coast Guard's got a good too. Hey, shout out to the Coasties who watch this. You guys get a bad rap, all right? You guys are actually fighting war in our country. Like I worked with Coasties down in Key West, and they're snatching up Cubans at the cyclet down there.
Yeah, and, they're underrated for sure.
For sure, never met a Coastie that hated their job. They always love it.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So what did you go in as? I mean, like what?
Oh man, that's a terrible story too, right? So this is super honesty time. Anybody out there wants to at me, you can at me all you want. I was a recon contract, and back then the pipeline was different. They constantly recon. The recon training company is really good about adapting. They're really good about adapting. But back then, first you had to go through 0311 school. So I went through 0311 Echo Company ITB out in San Onofre, ITB West. Yeah. And then I went to the RTC, but I'll tell you, like I said, don't at me. I quit. I quit. I DO1. I couldn't take it anymore. I kept hurting myself.
How long were you there?
Out of Pendleton?
Yeah, the RTC.
I quit the first day. Day.
Oh, wow. No kidding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I hear it's a rough time.
I mean, that's real. I was not prepared. I didn't know what was going on. physically I was, but looking back, I was like, man, I could have done it, man, because I did it again. And I was like, I could have done it, but just mentally, it just was like taking an ass kicking over and over and over. I mean, for boot camp, I swear, I don't know how ITB was out east, but out west, my ITB instructors were worse than the drill instructors, man. I mean, they were mean as shit. And they were like Iraq veterans with like 7.62 rounds still in their chest and shit like that. So they were mean. But I never had a problem. It was just like a shitty environment to be around. Just like, it's like watching cop lights, in your rearview mirror. You get that shitty feeling, but you live that life like all the time. Yeah. And I quit. So what they did was they reclassed me. I thought they would, because there's also it's a 4th Ground Sensor Platoon. It's a platoon of grunts that are in Mobile. I thought since I was in 0311, they would just send me to the Ground Sensor Platoon. But no, they needed a Marine Corps. They reclassed me as an 0431, a logistics embarkation specialist. And they sent me out to Camp Johnson, where I spent about a month and a half. The schoolhouse is only like a month. So, I was like a week and a half in a holding platoon. And I was the god of the platoon because I was like the only infantry guy. On paper. Sure, like on my DD 214, it says I was an 0311 for 3 months. But I was a guy of the platoon. It was great. I mean, that was a weird spot out there because it's like the land of the Pogues. That's where they do all like the supply school, admin schools, motor T mechanic school. Yeah. There was a bar like right there on base. I was getting like hammered drunk every night and then still running like 6 miles in the morning. That's when I was young, I was 22, 23. So you could do that kind of thing. Yeah. So then cut to, I worked in supply, and I had a badass gunners. What's that?
Just so I fully understand, because you signed a reservist contract, right?
That's correct.
So you basically, boot camp, ITB, RTC for a little bit, like through this whole time period so far, you've been full time till you basically
pretty much from the beginning of January till September 16th. Okay, I was in training. I never got to embark. I worked in supply. I was like a box carrier supply guy, and but I had a great gunny. This guy, he retired as a master sergeant. Kirk Legier. This guy was a free fall jump master. He's an active guy, because on the reserve side you have I and I. Yeah. And the I and I staff are regular active people. There's only like 13 of them.
I and I stands for what again?
I think it's like inspector instructor. To be honest with you, inspector instructor.
Okay, that sounds familiar.
I don't know why. Yeah, we love the acronyms, right? So I had this badass gunny. His name was I call him Gunny Legier, but I never call him Frenchie, because he was there for 5 years because everybody loved him so much. He was a free fall jump man. He was wild. He smoked a pack of cigarettes a day and ran a 20-minute 3-mile. The guy's hips were all messed up because he was a jump master, and he didn't care because he loved jumping. I was late for meetings because he'd make me sit in his office and watch him jump out of planes. And I'm like, hey, why are you late? I was like, Gunny Legier, maybe watch videos of him jumping out of planes. And I'm like, okay, we'll sit down. And they wouldn't care. And he was wild. Well, then he leaves, and I got the staff sergeant that I won't mention his name. He was not Gunny Legier. And that was the first thing I was like, man, I really wish I would have, became a recon Marine, because this leadership I got right now is crap. So I got to know the guys, the recon guys, through a few things. One, I was a good supply guy. Mm-hmm. If you go into supply, I go in there, I go, hey, I need a 203 bandolier. Supply should give you a 203 bandolier. You sign the paperwork, and that's it. You shouldn't get any, why do you need it? Why do you need it? I'm like, because I said I need it. So when these guys would come up to me all the time, hey, I need this, I need that. No big deal. Boom, I go grab it. So I got to know them like that. Also, the boxing thing. We had a career planner. His name was, at the time, his name was Sergeant Cruz. I'm sure he's a master sergeant now. Corey Cruz. He was awesome. This guy was an 03 by trade, and he was our map instructor. Mm. My first AT, like the 2 week in the summertime, they call it annual training, was Key West. The first one I did was Key West. Oh yeah, so all we did was we would do McMap for a couple hours in the morning. I drove a Zodiac around all day, and I drank all night. It was awesome, man. Well, I got to know the guys because, make the story shorter, Sergeant Cruz was real big into McMap, and he made a huge ceremony just for me. I was the only guy that got a gray belt. He made a huge big deal, and he goes, hey, this guy's an undefeated professional boxer, but when he comes into my dojo, he goes, he leaves that crap at the door. He's a sponge, and he's really, he's a good guy, a good shit. And so after the formation broke up, this platoon sergeant, he was a bad man. His name's Jason Mann. I think he works for NASA now. Jason Mann, he talked like Sylvester Stallone. He's like, hey, He goes, I really respect boxers. I'm like, oh, thank you, Staff Sergeant. Thank you. He goes, no. He puts out his hand for a handshake. He goes, it's Jason. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, my name's Asa. And now he goes, you ever think about it? I'm like, oh, yeah, I thought about going back to recon school. And that was it. So then a guy that grew up in the same town I did, not grew up, but we were from the same town. He comes to me in the locker room one day and he goes, hey, what do you do here? And I go, I don't do anything, man. I hate it. He goes, you ever think about going to recon school? And then I was like, and I told him what happened to me. I told him my DOR'd dropped on request. He goes, hey man, hey, that's all behind you. He goes, let's get in the pool. If you really want to go, let's get in the pool. Let's do some work. So he trained me in the pool and he trained me how to be a good roper pretty much. And a roper is a wannabe recon Marine. Okay. Like you wear a rope. It's all historical stuff. Like, everything is like so storied, especially the Marine Corps. And then even more with recon, everything's so storied, Yeah. There's like, a creed that I'll never, even though I get Alzheimer's, I'll never forget the creed. And, but Shane didn't know I was already kind of swimming in the pool because my brother was, he's a SWIC. So he was training in the pool. I was training with my brother and they do a lot of swimming. They do more swimming than the Bloods kids do. And, I did in October 2014, I did a screener and I crushed it. Instantly, I become there was like 4 or 5 of us.
3 years later. Almost 4 years later.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. About 3 years later. Yeah. I'm a roper and I was, there was only 5 of us and it had what they call is like a what do they call it? It's like a roper platoon. It's guys that are trying to go to recon school. And now it's way bigger. Because just the need for recon Marines, we need them. And I was a roper for 10 months. I went to back then, like I said, the pipeline was a little bit different. So there was a 5-week, what they call a BRPC, Basic Reconnaissance Primer course, which is pretty much just a Dick Dragger haze fest. That's all you did. We did like 2 hours of PT in the morning, and then like you tied knots. There's 13 knots that you have to learn. Yeah. And then we did we swam in the pool for 4 hours, and that's where we lost everybody. So we start off, this is the end of 2015 in August. We started up with 120 guys. And they do a 3-day screener, which includes a PFT, water survival basic, and water survival intermediate. And they start chopping like flies when we get to the pool. Everybody smoked me in the PFT. Like back then, the standard was like 20 pull-ups. I do 19. I did my 100 crunches, like legit 100 crunches, not the buddy helping, like legit, because I didn't know anybody. And I couldn't tell you the guy who spotted my crunches. I did 100 crunches, but I ran like a 22-minute 3 mile. I'm not a runner. I run to live, not to die, And I'm like, oh crap, I'm not gonna make this cut. But then we get to the pool and they start jumping like flies. I had a roommate for 2 days, and then he quit. And then for 5 weeks, I didn't have a roommate. So they took the 120 and they broke it down to 70. So when the no shit training started, we went from 70 to 45 in about a week and a half. Wow. All of them quit. All of them. We had 3 scout snipers. All of them quit. And scout sniper school that's no joke either, man. That's a Dick Dragger course too. And so I did a 5-week basic reconnaissance primer course. And at the end of that, there's 2 things back then you had to do. Was 1, you had to pass the knots test. So out of 45 guys, 1 guy failed the knots test. Knots,
literally, so you're tying knots by memory, I assume.
Yeah, by speed and memory, but you do it so often, man. You do it so often. But the only thing is they give you ropes, and these things are so full of like blood, sweat, and tears, man. The knots don't dress well. That's the thing. I got a nice rope for Hearstmaster. This thing, man. I mean, it's beautiful. This rope. Yeah. It's called a sling rope. I always bring a sling rope. And but that thing was the one I had in BRPC was like I said, this thing had a lot of tears and lost dreams built up in it, so the knots didn't dress real well. And we had 5 guys not pass WSA, Water Survival Advanced. I don't know if you've ever done Water Survival Advanced, but there's 3 rescue swims in it, and Rescue 2. It's a mother. It's bad. It's real. It's tough. It's real bad. It actually took me 2 tries to pass it. It was tough. It's tough. It's hard to explain like what you got to do, but they're mothers, man. It's like you're in full kit. The guy you're rescuing is in full kit. And it's like, you're like swimming for your life. So I passed that. I even got cut open. Like, that's how bad they wrap you up. I split open. I boxed my whole entire life. I've never been split open. This guy split me open on like the first rescue, like blood coming down my face while doing two other rescues. So I passed BRPC. So now that was BRPC 10 Tech 15. So now I become a part of BRC 8 Tech 15.
All
the
right,
last
all
class.
right. So I'm gonna pump the brakes a little bit because you're throwing out a lot of acronyms and numbers that get super confusing. So I want to make sure we understand the story in its entirety. So
I'm a talker, man. That's genetics. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So I'll have to work on keeping you reeled in a little bit and
yeah, please. Yeah.
And letting the story kind of play out so we can understand, because I'm trying to catch up. So So you dropped out of college to join the Marine Corps Reserves. Did you end up going back to college?
Nope.
No. Okay. So then 4 years of reserve supply guy, or roughly 3 to 4 years.
Yep.
And then you basically started to pursue recon again.
Yes.
And so how long was that pipeline from transitioning from a supply guy to a recon guy?
I was a roper at 3rd Force for 10 months.
Okay.
And then 17 weeks of like at the recon training company, 5 weeks of the primer course, and then 12 weeks of the basic reconnaissance course.
Okay. So it took a little bit, and that's all like an active duty time frame where you're training and preparing.
Well, yeah, the roper time, no, that was regular reserve stuff. Just when I showed up for reserve stuff, I just got hazed.
Gotcha.
I mean, that's not supposed to. I mean, that's the best way I can describe it. They wanted to make sure that I was mentally, I had the testicular fortitude to because they're going to spend money, even just a plane ticket. You know?
Yeah.
So they wanted to make sure that was going to be worth it.
Honestly, I don't think I actually knew that there was a reserve recon opportunity.
Nobody knows that. And that's the thing, because people think I'm lying, like I'm doing a stolen valor thing. I'm like, there's Google, right? You can Google. But the thing is, like, Naval Special Warfare, Army Special Forces, even the British Special Air Service, SAS, they all have reserves. Huh. They all have reserves. There's not a MARSOC reserve. Not yet. I hope our unit turns into like 4th, recon battalion, a Raider battalion or something like that. But that probably won't happen.
Is recon the only one that you can like join and start as a reservist, or can you go naval special warfare?
There's. Really? Oh no, yeah, you're right. Yep. They're 100% like, okay. So if you want to be a naval special warfare reserve guy, you have to put in active duty time first.
Okay. That makes sense.
But recon is, the thing is, recon is, and I'm going to shit on recon a little bit, and is that we're not special operations. We're just special operations capable.
Okay.
You give us the mission and we'll crush it. But the thing is, they don't give us the opportunity to do these big hits, like big old snatch ups. It just because nothing against MARSOC. Those guys they're working it.
Yeah.
They're running a gun. It's so good, man. That's a great community. Because we have like 3 different mission sets. One is you build a battle space for commanders. So your green side, you're like, hey, sir, this is what it's like in the AO, the area of operation. This is what it's like from a guy that, like, I'm looking, I'm smelling, I'm feeling everything. This is from the human perspective. This is what life is like in this area of operation. Then you got amphibious reconnaissance, which is what we do by trade. And that's really just checking out a beach and say, hey, we need to land a company of Marines on this beach. Can we do it? Yeah. And I'm like, well, no, you can't do it because it's like this gigantic seawall or something like that. Or it's like, it's too deep, it's too shallow. You're feeling everything. You just go around the whole place and you physically are touching it and just giving them the human perspective. Because a drone can do the job that we do, but they can't tell you what it's like from a human perspective. That's the thing. They can tell you, like, hey, listen, I'm a tough SOB, and here's how it was, But and then the third mission set, which is the best, is direct action, like capture kill missions or clearing houses, and that's the best. When you're like running in a gun and with your boys, you're putting like match grade 5.56 in the people's like headlights. That's the good stuff right there.
So then what? I just want to kind of like take clips of your career so far.
Okay.
And so tell us a little bit. So you basically ultimately passed the whole recon pipeline, correct?
Yeah, I did. We graduated like December 16, 2015.
Okay. So about 5 years and change now. Wait, you said 15? So yeah, 5 years ish.
Yeah.
And so basically you've been still a reserve recon Marine for 5 years now, and you've done deployments with them and
2 deployments. Yep.
2 deployments. So what does a reserve recon deployment look like?
All right. Well, there's, they're always looking for a recon Marine. Everybody's always at least wants one. It'll be a 10-man team and they want one because we're subject matter experts on tactics and proficiency. We're super professional gentlemen. So I'll tell you, my first drill back from graduating BRC was like in February. And I've been an H&S guy for a long time. It's a small company, small. So I walked in like Maximus from like the Gladiator when he walks in the Coliseum. I walked in like that, and everybody was like, yeah! Because I was the first H&S guy that ever did it. I was the first H&S guy that said, because everybody was like, I'm going to go to recon, but they never would. I was the first H&S guy to ever do it. And man, I walked in like a king. I was like, yeah! So it was the first day I was doing CQB, never done it before. What they call tape houses, where you set up like you set up little fake barriers and where you can like just baby step through, like walking through a house.
And CQB being close quarters
tactics.
Okay.
Close quarter battle, close quarter tactics, mount DA. It's all the same shit, man.
Okay.
We don't do hostage rescue. We don't do hostage rescue. All right. But other than that, we run through it. But yeah, so we had a sergeant major at the time. Sergeant Major Moore comes into the auditorium where we're doing the tape house work, and he goes, "I need one 0321 sergeant to go to El Salvador." I raised my hand. I was like, "I'm a corporal," because I knew it was like a 1 up, 1 down kind of thing. Yeah. He goes, "Come into my office," and he goes, and I signed up. And 10 months later, I started to work up for El Salvador, being a foreign security advisor / tactics instructor.
El Salvador.
Yeah, we had Central America. Yeah, we were. What they do is they rotate security cooperation teams and special purpose MAGTAFs. I call it the SPAGTAF. And so we were security cooperations team 17.1. We were the El Salvador det. We had other teams in Honduras, Guatemala, Belize, and then, like I said, El Salvador. And each team at least had 1 recon Marine. My 5-man team had 2. 3 of us were from the same unit. The staff NCOIC was an 0621 radio operator, but he had been at the unit since like 08.
So in layman's terms, like what's in Central America? I mean, I don't know. Part of me's worried about some OPSEC here.
No, I know, because like, what are we doing in Central America, right? Hey, I get it. Okay, so you ever heard of this little? Maybe this little gang called MS-13. You ever heard of them?
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's where they're from. And also, El Salvador per capita is the murder capital of the world. More people are killed per capita in El Salvador than anywhere else in the world. But it also includes like the military and the police killing MS-13. But it's El Salvador is a beautiful country. I'm talking so beautiful. It's like right on the Ring of Fire. So there's like one of the first pictures I ever took was a picture of a Walmart with a volcano in the background. People are awesome, really nice, so nice. The women are beautiful, but they're horrifically impoverished. Like the average, I asked the guy, they're so passionate down there. I asked the guy, I was like, how much? They use American dollars. I said, hey, in Spanish, I'm like, how much? What's the average salary? Like, what do people make in a day in El Salvador? And this guy goes, what's a good breakfast cost in El Salvador? And I'm like, I don't know, like $4 or $5. And he's just like, so that's what they make. They make like $4 or $5 a day.
Wow.
And so it's super poor because they don't have any really natural resources, like they don't. They even tried to make a big port. I think some Norwegian company, but they screwed it up. So it was like a $20 million bust for a tiny little country. But I'll give El Salvador, I love you guys. They're the only country in Central America that actually paid back a little bit. They sent troops to Iraq twice. They said one guy was a legend where he killed 6 Taliban guys with a 3-inch blade, like hand to hand. And they actually, I think it's Gerber, they make a special knife just for this guy because he killed so many of these guys with a knife that he bought at the PX in like Ramstein, Germany before they went to Iraq.
Wow.
And he's a legend. and it's a beautiful country, man. I love it down there. I mean, I wish I would live down there, but the gangs are bad. You know, I'd probably end up eventually probably catching one in the running lights myself. You know, you can only get so many of them before they get you. This is kind of how it goes.
Were you primarily down there for like the war on drugs kind of thing? Is that?
Yeah, you know, we went down. We went down to train their Marines. They call it the BIM, which stands for Battalion de Infanteria de Marina. Don't at me with my accent. I'm like super white. But yeah, they like they're Marines. All we do was train their Marines, but they had nothing.
So in order for you to be able to do this stuff, I mean, are you able to get adequate training by just sticking to the 1 week in a month, 2 weeks a year reserve schedule?
Yeah, well, I volunteer for everything. I send myself to everything. Like I said, I went to
but if you didn't want to, like, do you have to do more time, you know, stateside in training in order to get picked when you do volunteer for these things? You know,
no,
okay.
They're always looking for guys. And as far as the training, man, it's, you know, I hate using it because people shit on that movie Jarhead, but there's that quote where he says, you know, a guy shoots a gun for many years and then he goes to war and he turns it into the armory. And he's like, you know, no matter what he does, like, you know, something like changing his baby, his hands will never forget the gun. That's how it is, man. I mean, you just, when I'm at work, yeah, I'm doing Walmart logistics stuff.
Yeah.
But you never lose it. You never lose that edge. You really don't, man. You either know how to shoot or you don't. You really, you know, that's how it is. And maybe like, you know, if it's been a few months, you gotta do a little bit of warm ups to shoot. But when you hold a gun for so long, you just never forget it, man. You can just feel it. It's easier than breathing. It really is, man.
So all right, you touched on a couple of things there. Let's talk a little bit about how, you know, as a reservist, you are balancing a military career and a civilian career. And
it's
so
awful.
You said you're doing Walmart logistics?
Yeah, but I've only done that 2.5 months. I did it. I got hired July 2019.
Yeah.
I did it for 2.5 months, and then I was gone for 15 because I was deployed or otherwise.
Yeah.
And it's also a tough job, so they always need bodies. So I'm like, hey, can I come back to work? They're like, yeah. When do you want to come back? I'm like, no, this day. And I'm like, yeah. So I just walked right back into work. Hey, what's going on? You know, remember me? It was like 15 months ago. But it's the best civilian job I've ever had as far as dealing with the reserves. Yeah. And that's the worst part is that civilian jobs hate a reserve guy. Mm. And that's like, I've had them like, you know, they'll hire you because you're a Marine and they know you're going to be great at the job, but then they'll also shit on you. Like, hey, listen, I got to go away for like a month. I'm like, I'm like, well, I was like, you hired a Force Recon Marine and the reserves. Like, you know, maybe you should have done a little bit of research, but like, I was a store manager of Verizon. That was the worst company I ever worked for. It's called One Wireless. It doesn't exist anymore. That's what I'll call it out. It was the worst experience I ever had as far as reserve and civilian life, because they would just, I mean, outright to my face, like shit on me. Like, oh, we'll never hire another reservist or National Guard guy. And like, no shit, like right to my face. Huh. And I mean, trust me, like, you know, it's one of the things, you grit your teeth. I'm like, man, I just want to start putting hands like all over you, you know, because like, you know, it's really frustrating. But then Walmart, God bless them. God bless these guys. Walmart logistics, because people are crap on Walmart, you know, but they're talking about regular Walmart. I work in a Walmart distribution. It's a totally different asset. I get crazy overtime. They absolutely love me. I've been in some tough spots where they help me. I'm like, hey, I got to go. And they're like, yeah, do what you got to do. No big deal. Like, oh, hey, just come back. Be safe. They're so, man, it's such a great company. If you're a reservist or a guardsman or whatever the fuck, it's such a great company to work for.
Interesting. Yeah,
and I had 3 jobs as a reservist, 4 jobs total as a reservist, and the first 3 were a nightmare because they would shit on me.
Yeah.
And they give me shitty shifts. They would screw around with me just because I was gone so much.
So did you know? I mean, obviously, you know, they chose to hire you, and as a reservist or any military member, you're protected by law for, you know, they have to keep your job for up to 5 years.
5 years. 5 years.
But I mean, it sounds like that doesn't. You're not really protected by law to not. get a hard time.
Here's the thing. It's like, yeah, maybe they can't fire for going away, but maybe one time I'm like 30 seconds late to work, boom, they'll fire. But that's never happened. I've never been fired. I'm just saying that was a big fear of mine. It's like they'll use some BS little thing to fire me, when in reality they're firing me because they don't want to do their job and like just be a manager or an owner of a company and just schedule it properly and figure it out. That's the thing. It's like, I crushed it at that Verizon thing. I remember the first day she goes, "Oh, we clean around here all the time." And the first thing I did, I reached up on this big shelf and it had like a big clump of dust. And she goes, "Where'd you find that?" And I was like, "Right there." I was like, I've been cleaning at the Olympic level for years. I'm a Marine. I'm the best. Don't tell me to clean something, because you're gonna feel bad about how you've been cleaning. I've been cleaning, undefeated professional cleaner. Right here.
From day one.
Day one, man. I still see her face when she was like, like, I clean all the time. I'm like, oh yeah. I'm like, let me see. Like old, room inspection style. Like, well, what about this? Yeah. And they're like,
Have you ever thought you were going to have to, use the USERRA, in order to protect your job? Like, you were never in that type of a spot.
Not really. No, I always had that in the pocket, because they got communities out there. I can't remember them, where they'll come up there with the heat, and nobody, hey, listen, you guys, we're about to bring like the heat of like the federal government down in your ass.
Yeah.
But no, that's never been. No, not really.
Okay. What kind of advice would you give to somebody who's like, maybe they're already in a career and they want to do, some guard or reserve work, or like, what's your best piece of advice for balancing those relationships between, the military part-time and, in theory, a full-time career civilian world?
I don't have any good advice. I don't. The only thing I can say is, if you're a reservist, and you have a good civilian job, it's great. It's the best job in the world. If you have a good but if your civilian life is shit, you're gonna just live in depression. That's not really eloquent, to talk like, but that's just the best way to describe it. Because if like I said, like most of the guys at Third Force, man, they've been in since like 2003, and they got great civilian jobs. And they, every now and then, it's just nice to scratch that itch and throw the uniform on and go run and gun with the boys. But that's the thing. If somebody at my work was like, "Oh, I'd like to join the National Guard for the money," I was like, "That's the worst. That's the worst thing you should do." I was like, "Don't do that. Do not do that, because you will not make any money. There's no such thing as that." Because as a regular drilling reservist, you don't make any money. You really don't.
Yeah.
When you deploy, you wage you with all the different incentives and stuff like that.
Yeah. But, so what you're saying is that, like, you kind of have to strategize that balance between your civilian career and your military career.
You do. It's a massive effort. And the boys all the time, when we got back from this last UDP, they're still like, we got cut. They're still hounding you for stuff. It was like, well, dude, I'm trying to like get my civilian life like back together. Like, why are they still fucking with us? They know. I guess they don't, because they don't. If they don't walk in your shoes, they don't know. Like, hey, like, oh, we got to do this, we got to do that. I'm like, hey, we're back in civilian life now. Like, hey, why are they fucking with us so bad? And it's just a flip flop, and it's hard to turn it off, man. It's hard to turn it off. And I do the you ever seen Rambo, The First Blood? Rambo, the first one. It's the best franchise there is. Well, the first one's the best, because like only one guy dies, and it's like on accident, where like Rambo throws a rock at the helicopter, and the guy like falls out. But at the end, when he's talking to the colonel, that speech, man, that shit is real. That is real life. Where Rambo's like, it's like the colonel is like, it's over, Rambo. And John's like, it's like, nothing is over. You asked me, I didn't ask you. And he's like, I used to like, call in helicopters. I used to drive tanks, but now I can't even get a job parking cars. It's that life. Like, when you're up at the top, and then you come back to civilian life. I'm sure you experienced it a little bit, man. Where like you leave active duty life, and now you got to put up with like regular BS when you used to know like where your lay was in life. Like, hey, I was here in life. Now I don't know where I'm at life. And I did a TRS class for a week, transition readiness service. They make you do when you get out. And I was the only reserve guy in there. They made you do it. And you see these poor kids, and they got no money in the bank, no plan, and they're fixing to get out. And I'm like, oh my God, kids, like you need to stay in. Like it's like that. What is it? Happy
Billy
Gilmore.
Madison. Stay in school
Billy Madison.
as
He's
long
like, you stay in, don't ever grow up. That's how it is, man. Because man, I wish that, a lot of regrets, through the years, but I wish I would have never left El Salvador, man. I'd still be down there right now if I knew any better. And I do like my civilian life. That's the thing, but it's just a different feeling when you're like an apex predator somewhere, man. You're the shit. And so, now I'm just like a regular guy,
Why not go active duty?
There's nothing in it for me, man. Because right now it's like, it's Muse and UDPs, and I can do that right now. That's the thing. I can pretend. I could be a pseudo active guy. I can nonstop go on UDPs. I can nonstop go on security operations and shit like that.
What's a UDP? Explain that.
Unit deployment plan. All it is, the best way to describe it, this badass shark, his name is Chief Erickson. He said he's like, these are about sharpening the spear. That's all it is. It's like, it's just a huge training deployment. And we got screwed because it was the COVID times. Like the COVID times happened about 2 months into Okinawa, where we were supposed to go to all these different countries, but we stayed in Okinawa the whole time. Still did some spectacular training, and I learned a ton. And I got to do a lot of breaching. I did 2 breacher supervisor courses with 30 OTG out there. And don't ask me what that stands for. It just helped Recon Marines do workups. Yeah. And they're all Recon Marines themselves. I did a lot of Hearst masting, so like doing fast roping out of helicopters and rappelling and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. But it's just, I don't know. I wouldn't mind if I was an officer. That's kind of what my plan was, like finish my last year of school, go as an active officer. Honestly, not an infantry one, because my joints is just, I don't mind shining in a chair with my ass at this point just because the joints. But as an enlisted guy, it's fun, man. You got like almost no responsibilities, man. You just kind of do what you're told and you run a gun. It's awesome. Yeah.
So do you feel, you've been in 10 years now, so obviously you've done some re-enlistments and,
Yeah, I've done one.
Do you feel like, even though you didn't really know what you were pursuing when you joined, do you feel like you got what you wanted and you're continuing to get what you want out of the military?
Yes. Yes, I do. And I think about that a lot. Like, say tomorrow was my last day as a reserve recon Marine. I know I served like a mother, even when I was a support guy. I know I served this country good and well, and I was a great Marine. And I can walk away from this career satisfied that like I really did what I needed to do, and makes me tear up almost. It's just I've had I met the coolest people in like 3 different countries and probably like 30 different states, and it's been a spectacular experience. And there's a lot of stuff I would change, but I would still be, if I had to change everything, I would still be at least a reserve recon Marine first.
Yeah, right on. Okay, all right. Does that mean you're gonna push on for another 10 years and finish out?
Oh 20? Yeah, no. I do the old Wolf of Wall Street thing. Like this, you're gonna need like this. I'm not fucking leaving. Like this is my home, and you're gonna fucking need a wrecking ball to get me out of here. I love it, man. The guys I've served with, and I still serve with, they're just the best. Like, and they have great civilian lives. They're cops, or they're civilian contractors, or one guy works at a Walmart distribution center in Texas. And they're just the best people. And I've gone through some bad times the last few months in my personal life. And man, they're so supportive. They're like, hey, it just makes you feel at least like you got somebody. You know how it is in the best thing I'll tell you right now out there, podcast listeners, the best thing about the military is that you can sleep or cry anywhere, and everybody's like, yeah, it'd be like that sometimes. They don't care. They don't, they don't judge you. If you're a good shit, like I am. It's awesome, man. It's just, even an active guy going to, it's just nice to scratch that itch, man. You throw on they'll throw on the old Marpac camis and go do some cool stuff with your boys. It's indescribable, the feeling, really.
I think, I think one of the most unique parts about the reserve life is that, like, I don't know, in my mind, anytime you're doing something different from your routine, it's like a vacation, And so it's civilian job might be awesome, but to do it, whatever, 300 days plus a year, it's like, dude, sometimes I just want to change it up. And so to have that that opportunity to volunteer and go somewhere else for a month, do something completely different, and scratch an itch, whatever that itch might be for you, is I don't think there's any other real way to do it. Like
No,
if you want a
no,
typical
I agree.
career.
For 100, and I'll tell you, I don't on my civilian side, I go to work and I come home and I hang out with my kids. Yeah. That's it. There's nobody, I don't hang out with probably one person for like a weekend I hung out on the civilian side with.
Yeah.
And they were pretty much family. But like, I just, so that keeps me a good father. So like, I just go to work and I come home, I go to work and I come home. But then when I got to throw the old MARPAD on, that's the time when I'm kicking it with the boys like that. And that's where I get that like bro time. Yeah. And then I come home, I got all the bro time out of me. I come home and I go to work and I come home and I'm a very attentive father and I don't care that I don't go out kicking it with anybody. I don't care. I don't. Yeah. It's not something I yearn for or nothing like that because I get it out of my system, but I'm in a great community of guys that like these dudes are, man, I'd do anything for them,
Yeah.
And we're just reservists.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. I like to kind of provide a little bit of a spectrum of like, best day versus worst day in the Marine Corps to give an idea of like, not every day is rainbows and unicorns, but not every day sucks either,
No, it's highs. It's like a sine curve, like in trigonometry. It's got equal highs to equal lows.
Yeah.
They call the recon goddess. She's a bitch god because she takes with one hand and she gives with the other,
Yeah. So give us an idea of, your spectrum that you've experienced
in the military.
Yeah.
I don't know. The worst thing, it's like, what's the worst thing? Like getting your ass kicked when you've been getting your ass kicked for like years, or having admin screw up your pay, because that's a pretty bad load too. But it's like, what I'm saying? The best thing is like when you take those really good ass kickings. I'm talking like those ones you don't ever forget, but you and your boys, when you don't eat your own. That's what I try to do as an instructor in other countries. I try to make them put them in shitty situations where they start eating their own. And when I see it, it's so good. But that's not what you want to do. You guys want to come together. And I've never had an experience where you've gone through a shitty situation and you've ate your own. Every time I've gone through a terrible, terrible shitty situation, like we're just kicking your ass, it's we're tighter. We're a tighter group of people. Like we're best friends. We're like planning vacations together, like immediately afterwards.
So then having those down times, having those negatives, the valleys make the peaks and the highs that much better.
Yeah. It's just, like I said, the recon goddess, man, it's equal. If you have a really, really great time, you're about to experience a bad low. It just is. It's just, man, it's like, oh, everything's going great. And it's like, boom. And I'm like, oh, damn, I should have called it. And, but it's all right though, man. If it sucked so terribly, I wouldn't do it. And honestly, if it was easy, everybody would do it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's what makes it special because not a lot of people do it, man. I graduated with like, out of our original 120, I graduated with 37 guys. And 19 of us were NCOs and 7 of them were officers.
Wow.
So over half the class was tough guys.
Yeah. Right on. You've been to a couple places, whether it be states, countries, whatever. What's been your favorite destination?
El Salvador, easy. That's it. So easy. El Salvador. Yeah. Oh yeah, just because like they had nothing, they had no training, and they gave us the wheel. They're like, you do this, and me and Shane Doherty were like, all right, and we crushed it. We literally changed the history and their training pipelines of a whole entire country just based off 2 guys being subject matter experts, and their officers loved us, man, loved us.
So what kind of advice is, closing out a little bit, what kind of advice would you give to somebody who is pursuing recon?
Get in the pool. And I'm not talking like, because people will tell you like, oh, you got to swim for like 4 hours. Like, whoa, shit. Hey, get in the pool and specifically start treading water. Because there's a portion of the pool they call deep end sessions where you're like treading with like your hands, behind your head or your elbows out of the water, and just tread water for like 30 minutes a day. That's what I would start off with. Obviously being like, getting a decent shape, but you have to tread water. And the longer you do it, the better it is. Because when I was training guys, I make them do it for 10 minutes and it's just panicking for like 10 minutes. But if you make them do it for like 30, it gives them time to kind of feel it out. You're like, oh, well, shit, hey, I can push the water like this and I can breathe like this. And then it works out better. So that's the number one. Number two is, this is on your podcast, you cannot be a pussy. Like, and that sounds like really, you cannot, like, quit cannot be, you know, a part of your vocabulary. Because if you're not weak in the pool and you don't quit and you're still healthy, because, you know, people have accidents and they get hurt.
Sure.
You will make it, because the recon training company wants recon Marines. It's not a badge keeper course. Like, I know at Naval Switch, my brother's a SWIC instructor right now, and they'll drop guys. They'll make their lives better just because they're ugly or something like that. You know, it's a super badge keeper, you know, thing. But recon wants guys, and if you're worth a damn and you're a good teammate, they want you. So if you're not weak in the pool and you don't quit, you will make it. You can make yourself a recon Marine for sure.
Do you regret quitting back in 2011 timeframe?
The only reason, the only reason I do is because I was a Lance Corporal for 4 years as an embarker. I did no deployments. I mean, my career would have been farther ahead. I don't blame myself for quitting because I had no clue what was going on. But at the same time, I think I'm a pussy because I was like, you think I'm the only guy that didn't know what was going on? I'm sure some of those guys, it's the same kind of mental state that I was in, that they still made it, you know? Yeah. And that's my story. I mean, that's a true shit, you know, like, oh yeah, you know what? I say I was an 0431, but then like when when people ask like, well, what were you originally? I'm like, and it's shameful. It's shameful to talk about, you know, because I don't, you know, but I mean, it is what it is, man. I went back and I fucking crushed it.
Awesome, dude. Well, I want to give you an opportunity to provide any closing wisdom you want to share with anybody, or, any last words.
Oh man, real broad spectrum. Being a United States Marine is the absolute best thing you can be in the whole entire world. I'm not saying that any of the other branches are crappy. I'm not saying that at all, because man, they got some pipe hitters in all the branches, including the Department of Homeland Security, Coast Guard. They got what they call it, Maritime Search and Rescue Teams. Those guys are pipe hitting, but there's just not it's almost undescribable, the feeling to be a Marine. And God bless the people that couldn't join, like my brother. My brother couldn't join. Now he's a Naval Special Warfare operator. You know, his rate is Special Operator 1 or something like that. They call him this shit a Special Operator. But just being a Marine is the best. It's undescribable. Just put your damn chin down, keep your hands up. And if you get tired, take a knee, face outboard, sip some water, man. You'll be all right. You know, it's going to be fine. But that's all. It's really our closing thing. Like, and that's not anything to do with recon. I don't care if you're a supply Marine or you're a MARSOC guy. Like, just being a Marine is just the best feeling in the world. I wouldn't trade it for anything. I promise you, man. You don't want to put your dress blues. You ever seen somebody in dress blues? Come on now. I mean, like, you can be the ugliest. I remember that boot camp. Like, you're an ugly motherfucker, but don't worry about it. Everybody looks good in a set of dress blues. They really do, man.
Ain't that the truth? It's so funny. Awesome, man. Well, dude, I'm stoked that you're still fired up on it after 10 years, and you're doing what you love, and you're able to balance it well. So that's awesome, man.
Yeah, no, it's going great, man. I finally, and it's taken a while. It's taken a while for me to get in a nice groove, and it's mainly, it's certain different things, mainly on my personal side, Yeah. But it's great, man. Being a reserve recon Marine we were a 3rd Recon Battalion out in Okinawa, and a bunch of those guys have gotten out and come to the reserve recon because they seen that, like, 1, we're super professional, incredibly professional. 2, it's a great gig. You can still play recon Marine when you want, but then also have a regular civilian life.
Awesome, Asa. Well, man, I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you sharing your story.
Yeah, man. This is awesome, dude. Thank you so much for inviting me. Genetics wise, I'm a talker, man. I appreciate you putting up with me talking.
Yeah, man. Hopefully other people find value in it and find some entertainment and some humor in it all.
Oh, yeah. Hopefully you're definitely an entertainment person.
Awesome, man. Well, look forward to staying in touch and hearing how the rest of your career goes.
Yeah, likewise, Parris. Hey, Semper Fidelis.
Rah. Hey guys, I hope you were able to enjoy that episode with Asa. like I said, Asa is a talker, and so I did my best to kind of keep him in line, but he gets fired up on what he does, so I kind of let him go. And hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Hopefully you guys got some value from that and kind of some insight on as to what recon life is like and what the pipeline is like, and balancing a high-speed military career with a civilian career. That's kind of like, the complete opposite. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys next week.